Domestic violence in Bible perspectives. What is domestic violence? Domestic violence is an issue that affects individuals and families across all demographics. It is known as intimate partner violence, and it involves physical, emotional, sexual, or psychological harm by a current or former partner or spouse. It includes the following: 1. Physical abuse like hitting, slapping, and choking. 2. Emotional abuse like insults, threats, and manipulation. 3. Sexual abuse like coercion and rape. 4. Economic abuse like controlling finances and preventing work. 5. Psychological abuse like intimidation and isolation. The impact of domestic violence is profound, affecting victims' physical and mental health, including chronic pain, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD), and even death. It also affects children who witness the violence, leading to emotional and behavioral issues. The following are some warning signs of domestic violence. 1. Extreme jealousy. 2. Controlling behavior. 3. Quick involvement. 4. Unrealistic expectations. 5. Isolation from family and friends. 6. Hypersensitivity. 7. Cruelty. 8. Verbal abuse. And 9. Threats of violence. Domestic violence often follows a cycle, including the tension-building phase, the acute battering incident, and the honeymoon phase, where the abuser may apologize and promise change, only for the cycle to repeat. Many countries have laws to protect victims of domestic violence, including restraining orders, legal aid, and shelters. Victims are encouraged to seek help through hotlines, shelters, counseling, and support groups. Trusted friends, family members, and community organizations can also provide support. Society plays a crucial role in addressing domestic violence by promoting awareness, supporting victims, holding perpetrators accountable, and advocating for policies and laws that protect victims. Comprehensive support systems for victims include medical care, legal assistance, counseling, housing, and financial aid. Effective support requires a coordinated response from healthcare providers, law enforcement, social services, and community organizations. Understanding and addressing domestic violence requires a multifaceted approach that includes legal, medical, psychological, and social support. It's essential to create a supportive environment where victims feel safe to seek help and rebuild their lives. B. Causes of domestic violence. Domestic violence is a complex issue with multiple contributing factors. Understanding these causes can help in developing effective prevention and intervention strategies. Here are some key causes. 1. Desire for dominance. The primary cause of domestic violence is the abuser's desire to control and dominate their partner. This can stem from deeply ingrained beliefs about gender roles and power dynamics in relationships. 2. Gender norms and inequality. Societies that uphold rigid gender roles and norms often perpetuate the idea that men should be dominant and women submissive, which can lead to abusive behavior. 3. Cultural acceptance of violence. In some cultures, violence in the family is normalized or seen as a private matter, reducing the likelihood of intervention or support for victims. 4. History of abuse. Individuals who experienced or witnessed abuse in their childhood may be more likely to engage in or tolerate abusive behavior in their adult relationships. 5. Mental health issues. Conditions such as depression, anxiety, personality disorders, and substance abuse can contribute to violent behavior. 6. Alcohol and drugs. Substance abuse can exacerbate aggressive behavior and reduce inhibitions, leading to an increased likelihood of violence. However, it is not the sole cause and often acts as a catalyst in an already abusive situation. 7. Financial stress. Financial difficulties and unemployment can create stress and conflict in a relationship, sometimes leading to violence as a means of expressing frustration and exerting control. 8. Economic dependency. Victims who are economically dependent on their abuser may feel trapped and unable to leave the abusive relationship. 9. Jealousy and insecurity. Extreme jealousy and insecurity can drive controlling and violent behavior, as the abuser may try to isolate their partner from others and monitor their actions. 10. Poor communication skills. Lack of healthy communication and conflict resolution skills can lead to frustration and aggression. 11. Modeling violence. Children who grow up in violent homes may learn that violence is an acceptable way to resolve conflicts or exert control, perpetuating a cycle of abuse. 12. Life stressors. Major life changes or stressors, such as the loss of a job, illness, or the birth of a child, can increase tension and potentially lead to violence. 13. Isolation. Social isolation, whether imposed by the abuser or resulting from other circumstances, can make it difficult for victims to seek help and support. 14. Sense of entitlement. Some abusers believe they have the right to control their partner and use violence to enforce their will.
15. Minimization and denial. Abusers often minimize, deny, or rationalize their behavior, making it difficult for them to recognize the harm they are causing and seek help. Addressing these causes requires a multifaceted approach that includes education, legal measures, support services, and cultural change to promote healthy, respectful relationships and reduce the prevalence of domestic violence. C. Impacts of domestic violence on children. Children who witness or experience domestic violence are significantly affected, and the impact can be profound and long-lasting. Here are some key points on how domestic violence impacts children. 1. Anxiety and depression. Children in violent homes often experience high levels of anxiety, depression, and fear. They may feel constant tension and worry about their safety and the safety of their non-abusive parent. 2. Post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD). Exposure to violence can lead to PTSD, characterized by flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety. 3. Low self-esteem. These children may struggle with low self-esteem and self-worth, feeling unloved and unimportant. 4. Aggression. Some children might display aggressive behavior, mirroring the violence they witness at home. 5. Withdrawal. Others might become withdrawn, isolating themselves from peers and avoiding social interactions. 6. Difficulty in school. Academic performance can suffer due to the inability to concentrate, frequent absences, or behavioral problems in school. 7. Cognitive delays. The stress and trauma from domestic violence can interfere with cognitive development, leading to delays in language, learning, and problem-solving skills. 8. Emotional development. Difficulty in understanding and managing emotions can hinder a child's emotional development. 9. Physical health problems. Chronic stress from living in a violent environment can lead to physical health issues like headaches, stomachaches, and other stress-related conditions. 10. Risk of abuse. Children in violent homes are at higher risk of being directly abused themselves. 11. Relationship problems. Difficulty in forming and maintaining healthy relationships due to trust issues and fear. 12. Imitating behavior. Children might imitate the abusive behavior they see, potentially perpetuating the cycle of violence in their future relationships. 13. Substance abuse. There is an increased risk of substance abuse as a coping mechanism. 14. Mental health disorder. Sugar likelihood of developing mental health disorders in adulthood. 15. Perpetuating the cycle. Without intervention, children exposed to domestic violence may continue the cycle in their adult relationships, either as victims or perpetrators.
16. Supportive relationships. Having supportive relationships with non-abusive parents, relatives, or mentors can mitigate some negative effects. 17. Therapeutic interventions. Counseling and therapy can help children process their experiences, develop healthy coping mechanisms, and build resilience. 18. Stable environment. Moving to a safe and stable environment can significantly improve a child's well-being and development. Addressing the impact of domestic violence on children requires a comprehensive approach, including immediate safety measures, psychological support, and long-term strategies to ensure their well-being and development. D. Prevention of domestic violence. Preventing domestic violence requires a comprehensive approach that involves individuals, communities, and institutions working together. It involves education and awareness, promoting healthy relationships, early intervention, and community support. It also includes addressing societal factors such as gender inequality and cultural norms that perpetuate violence. Here are key prevention strategies. 1. School programs. Implement educational programs in schools that teach children about healthy relationships, conflict resolution, and respect. 2. Public awareness campaigns. Launch campaigns to raise awareness about domestic violence, its signs, and how to seek help. 3. Workshops and training. Provide workshops and training sessions for various groups, including healthcare providers, educators, law enforcement, and community leaders. 4. Community support networks. Establish and support community networks that offer resources and support to victims and families. 5. Engage men and boys. Involve men and boys in prevention efforts to challenge and change harmful gender norms and behaviors. 6. Safe spaces. Create safe spaces in the community where victims can seek help and support without fear of judgment or retribution. 7. Strong legal frameworks. Advocate for and implement strong legal frameworks that protect victims, hold perpetrators accountable, and provide support services. 8. Restraining orders. Ensure that restraining orders and other protective measures are accessible and enforced effectively. 9. Funding for services. Secure funding for shelters, hotlines, counseling services, and other support mechanisms for victims. 10. Hotlines and helplines. Provide 24/7 hotlines and helplines for victims to access immediate support and information. 11. Counseling and therapy. Offer counseling and therapeutic services to victims and their families to help them heal and rebuild their lives. 12. Shelters and safe housing. Ensure the availability of shelters and safe housing options for those fleeing abusive situations. 13. Job training and education. Provide job training, education, and financial literacy programs to help victims gain independence and reduce economic dependence on abusers.
14. Financial assistance. Offer financial assistance and resources to help victims transition to a life free from abuse. 15. Screening and risk assessment. Implement screening and risk assessment protocols in healthcare settings to identify and support at-risk individuals. 16. Crisis intervention teams. Establish crisis intervention teams that can respond quickly to incidents of domestic violence and provide immediate support and resources. 17. Challenge stereotypes. Work to change cultural norms and stereotypes that perpetuate domestic violence, such as rigid gender roles and the acceptance of violence. 18. Promote equality. Promote gender equality and respect in all aspects of society, including the media, workplaces, and educational institutions. 19. Data collection. Collect and analyze data on domestic violence to understand its prevalence, causes, and effects better. 20. Program evaluation. Evaluate the effectiveness of prevention programs and strategies to identify best practices and areas for improvement. Domestic violence and Bible perspectives. The Bible speaks against violence and abuse, emphasizing love, respect, and kindness in relationships. Here are some verses that address the issue of domestic violence. 1. Ephesians 4:31-32. Let all bitterness, and wrath, and anger, and clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. 2. Colossians 3:19. Husbands, love your wives, and be not bitter against them. 3. 1 Peter 3:7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. These verses underscore the importance of treating your spouse with love, respect, and kindness, and they emphasize that violence and abuse are contrary to God's will. Domestic violence is a grave issue that should never be tolerated. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, seek help from trusted sources or domestic violence support organizations.